welcome everyone back to another Sunday night edition as we bring up the cameras and lower. Now we didn't want to lower the music. How you guys doing? How is everyone doing this Sunday night? I am Joel K. This is Accessibly Live, the book club reading room. Every single Sunday night live here on Twitch and replayed on YouTube. Hope you guys are having a good night tonight. We have got something special next weekend. Because it is Black Friday and all the other stupid stuff that goes with, shopping and spending money you don't have, we thought we'd have a little bit of fun next week. We've got Gulliver's Travels next Thursday here on the channel. So if you guys want to stop in for a short cartoon, I think it lasts about an hour, maybe. Maybe a couple other things along the way that night. But Thursday night, we've got a animated movie. Something different for a holiday weekend when nobody wants to watch football on a Thursday. Come on over. We'll be having a little bit of fun. As you saw on the banner for the start of the show tonight, we are doing James Blish, one of the more prolific writers of the 20th century, who did a lot of short stories and was more well known for writing science fiction and writing Star Trek. He is one of those who, when he was working, had a great life. Born May 23rd, 1921, died unfortunately July 30th, 1975. He was a smoker. Unfortunately. He was an American science fiction and fantasy writer known for his novel The Case of Consciousness, which I'm looking to see if I can actually read next year, along with a few other big announcements. He won a series of Star Trek novelizations. He also created the Cities in Flight novels, crediting the term gas giant before anybody else did, when describing a lot of the Jovian planets, Jupiter, Saturn, that sort of thing. He is, like I said, he was a prolific writer. His wife, J.A. Lawrence, also wrote science fiction along with him. He was a member of the Futurine Society. All of his works currently are now at the Bodleian Library at Oxford University. He loved to write. He loved to be creative. And with what he wrote in his short stories and his novels, a lot of thought went into what he wrote. He was good. He was very good. He made you actually read and follow through. As most of you guys know, that when you read, sometimes your brain will skip fast through paragraphs and so on. You want to read James Blish's work. And a lot of his work is pretty incredible. Tonight we have a short story by James Blish. This one, not too long. But it is one of his more pronounced and fairly well-known books, short stories, One Shot. By the way, for those of you who remember, we, a couple weeks ago, started a new email here for the channel, joelk_OG at protonmail.com. Great new service, and I'm excited to be using them to be able to say hello to you guys. And stop in, say hello. I mean, if you guys want to, they've got the stream chat. If I think I'm up and operational tonight. It's been one of those weird nights. Traffic along Lakeshore was crazy, shall we say. But let's get into the short story. This is One Shot by James Blish. On the day that the Polish freighter Ludmilla laid an egg in the New York harbor. Abner Longmar's one-shot Braun was in the city going about his normal business, which was making another $1 million. As we found out later, almost nothing else was normal about that particular week, and for Braun. For one thing, he had brought his family with him, a complete departure from routine, reflecting the unprecedentedly legitimate nature of the deals he was trying to make. From every point of view, it was a bad weekend for the CIA to mix into the affairs, but nobody had explained that to the master of the Ludmilla. I'd better add here that we know nothing about this until afterward. From the point of view of the storyteller, an organization like the CIA gets all its facts backwards, entering the tale at the payoff, working back to the hook, and winding up with a sheaf of background facts to feed into a computer for next time. It's rough on the various people who try to fictionalize what we do, particularly for the lazy examples of the breed who come to us expecting that their plotting has already been done for them, but it's inherent in the way we operate, and there it is. Certainly nobody at the CIA so much as thought of Braun when the news came first through. Harry Arden, Harbor Defense Chief, called us at 8:30 a.m. to take on a job of identifying the egg. This was when our records showed us officially entering the affair, but, of course, Anderton had been keeping the wires to Washington streaming for an hour before that, getting authorization to spend some of his money on us. Our clearance status was then and now still CNR, clear and routine. I was in the central office when the call came through and had some difficulty to make out precisely what Anderton wanted us. Slow down, Colonel Anderton. Please, I begged him. 2 or 3 seconds won't make much of a difference. How did you find out about this egg in the first place? The automatic compartment bulkheads on the Ludmilla were defective, he said. It seems that this egg was buried among lots of other crates in a dump cell of the old... What's a dump cell? It's a sea lock for getting rid of dangerous cargo. At the bottom, it opens up to Davy Jones's locker. Standard fittings for ships carrying explosives, radioactives, anything that might act up unexpectedly. All right, I said. Go ahead. Well, there was a timer on the dump cell floor set to drop the egg when the ship came up the river. That worked fine, but the automatic bulkheads that were supposed to keep the rest of the ship from being flooded while the cells opened didn't. At least they didn't go through the job. Ludmilla began to list on, and the captain called for help. When the harbor patrol found the dump cell open, they called us in. I see. I thought about it for a moment. In other words, you don't know whether the Ludmilla really laid an egg or not. That's what I keep trying to explain to you, Dr. Harris. We don't know if what she dropped and we haven't any way of finding out. It could be a bomb. It could be anything. We're sweating everybody on board now, but it's my guess that none of them know anything. The whole procedure was designed to be automatic. All right, we'll take it, I said. You got divers down? Sure, but we'll worry about the butts from here. Let's get a direct line from your barge to the big board so we can direct the work. Better get over here yourself. Right. He sounded relieved. Official people have a lot of confidence in the CIA. Too much, in my estimation. Someday the job will come along that we can't handle, and then Washington will be kicking itself, or more likely, some scapegoat, for having failed to develop a comparable government department. Not that there was much prospect of Washington doing that. Official thinking has been running in the other direction for years. The precedent was the Associated Universities organization, which ran Brookhaven. CIA had been started the same way, by a loose corporation of universities and industries, all which wanted to own the Ultimate, and no one of which had the money to buy it for itself. The Eisenhower administration, with its emphasis on private enterprise and commitment, reluctance to sink federal funds into the projects of such a size, had turned the two examples into a nice fat trend, which Ultimac herself said wasn't going to be reversed within a practical lifetime of the CIA. I buzzed for two staffers, and in 5 minutes got Clark Cheney and Joan Hadmard, CIA's business manager and social science division chief, respectively. Their titles were almost solely for the benefit of the TNO. That is, Clark and Joan do service in their capacities, but said services take about 2% of their capacity at the time. I shot them a couple of sentences of explanation, trusting them to pick up whatever else they needed from the tape, and checked the line to the diver's barge. It was already open. Anderton had gotten to work quickly and with decision once he was sure that we were taking on the major question. The television screen lit, but nothing showed on it but murky light, striped with streamers and darkness slowly rising and falling. The audio went crunk, oink, 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 oink. Underwater noises, shapeless and characterless. Hello out there in the harbor. This is the CIA. Harris calling. Come in, please. Monig here, the audio said. Boing, boing, boing. Got anything yet? Not a thing, Dr. Harris, Monig said. You can see 3 inches in front of your face down here. It's too silty. We've bumped into a couple crates, but so far, no egg. Keep trying. Cheney, looking even more like the bulldog than usual, was setting a stopwatch by one of the 8 clocks on the Ultimate's face. Want me to take the divers, he said. No, Clark, not yet. I'd rather have Joan do it for the moment. I passed the mic to her. You'd probably run a probability series first. Check. He began feeding tape into the integrator's mouth. What's your angle, Peter? The ship. I want to see how heavily shielded the dump cell is. It isn't shielded at all, Anderton's voice said behind me. I hadn't heard him come in. But that doesn't prove anything. The egg might have carried sufficient shielding in itself. Or maybe the commies didn't care whether the crew was exposed or not. Or maybe there wasn't any egg. That's possible, I admitted. But I wanted to see anyhow. Have you taken blood tests? Joan asked Anderton. Yes. Get the reports through me, then. I want white cell counts, differentials, platelet counts, hematocrit, and seed rates on every man. Anderton picked up the phone, and I took a firm hold on the knob. Hey, Anderton put down the phone again. Are you going to duck out just like that? Remember, Dr. Harris, we've got to evacuate the city first of all. No matter whether it's real egg or not, we can't take the chance of it not being a real egg. Don't move a man until you get a go-ahead from the CIA, I said. For all we know, evacuating the city may just be what the enemy wants us to do. So they can grab it unarmed. Or they just may want to start a panic for some reason. Any one of 50 possible reasons. You can't take a gamble like that, he said grimly. There are 8.5 million lives riding on it. I can't let you do it. You've passed your authority on to us when you hired us, I pointed out. If you want to evacuate without our okay, you'll have to fire us first. It'll take another hour to get that cleared from Washington, so you might as well give us the hour. He stared at me for a moment. His lips thinned. Then he picked up the phone again in order to order Joan's blood count, and I got out the door fast. A reasonable man would have said that I found nothing useful on the Ludmilla except the negative information. But the fact is that anything I found would have been a surprise to me. I went down looking for surprises. I found nothing but a faint trail to Abner Longmay's brawn, most of which was 50 years cold. There had been a time when I'd known Braun, briefly, and to no profit to either of us. As an undergraduate majoring in social sciences, I'd taken a term paper on the old International Shoremen's Association, a racket-ridden union now formally extinct, although anyone who knew the science could still pick up traces on the docks. In those days, Braun had been the business manager in an old insurance firm, the sole visible function of which was to write policies for the ILA and individual dock owners. For some reason, he had been amused by the brash youngster who barged in on him and demanded the lowdown, and had shown me considerable lengths of rope not normally in view of the public. Nothing incriminating, but enough to give me better insight into how the union operated than I had any right to expect, or even suspect. Hence, I was surprised to hear somebody on the docks remark that Braun was in the city over the weekend. It would never have occurred to me that he still interested himself in the waterfront, for he'd gone respectable with vengeance. He was still a professional gambler, and according to what he told the Congressional Investigating Committee last year, took in $30,000 to $50,000 a year at it. But his gambles were no longer concentrated on horses, the numbers, or shady insurance deals. Now, what he did, he called investment, mostly real estate. Realtors knew him well as the man who had almost bought the Empire State Building. The almost in the equation stands for the moment when the shoestring broke. Joan had been following his career too, not because she had ever met him, but because for her he was the type of study in the evolution of what she called the extra legal ego. With personalities like that, respectability is a disease, she told me. There's always an almost open conflict between the desire to be powerful and the desire to be accepted. Your ordinary criminal is a more imbecile, but people like Braun are damned with a conscience, and sooner or later they crack to appease it. I'd sooner try to crack a Timken bearing, I said. Braun's 10-point steel all the way through. Don't you believe it? The symptoms are showing all over him. And now he's backing Broadway plays, sponsoring beginning actresses, joining playwright groups. He's the only member in the Bushkin and Brush who has never written a play, acted in one, or so much pulled the rope to raise the curtain. That's investment, I said. That's his business. Peter, you're only looking at the surface. His real investments almost never fail, but the plays he backs always do. They have to. He's sinking money into them to appease his conscience. And if they were to succeed, he would double his guilt instead of savoring it. It's the same way with the young actress. He's not technically interested in them. His type never is. But he's living a rigidly orthodox family life as part of an effort towards respectability. He's backing them to pay his debt to society, in other words. His talisman to keep him out of jail. It doesn't seem like a very satisfactory substitute. Of course it isn't, Joan said. The next thing he'll do is go in for direct public service, giving money to hospitals or something like that. You watch. She had been right. Within a year, Braun had announced the founding of an organization for clearing the Detroit slum area where he had been born. The plainest kind of symbolistic suicide. Let not have anybody more Amber Longmore's bronze born down here. It depressed me to see it happen, for the next on Joan's agenda for Braun was an entry into politics as a fighting liberal, a New York dealer 20 years too late. Since I'm mildly liberal myself when I'm off duty, I hated to think what Braun's career might tell me about my own motives, if I let it. All of which had done nothing with my why I was prowling around the Ludmilla. Or did it? I keep remembering Adderton's challenge. You can't take such a gamble. There are 8.5 million lives riding on it. That put it up to Braun's normal operating area, all right. The connection was still hazy, but on the grounds that any link might be useful, I phoned him. He remembered me instantly. Like most uneducated, power-driven men, he had a memory as good as any machine's. You never did send me that paper you were going to write, he said. His voice seemed absent-mindedly unchanged, although he was in his 70s now. You promised you would. Kids don't keep their promises as well as they should, I said. But I've still got copies. I'll see to it that you get one of these times. Right now, I need another favor. Something right up your alley. CIA business? Yes. I didn't know if you knew I was in the CIA. Braun chuckled. I still know a thing or two, he said. What's the angle? I can't tell you over the phone, but it's the biggest gamble there's ever was, and I think I need an expert. Can you come down to CIA Central Headquarters right away? Yeah, if it's that big. If it ain't, I've got lots of business here, Andy. I ain't going to be in downtown long. You sure it's top stuff? My word on it. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, send me your paper. The paper? Sure, but... Then I got it. I gave him my word. You'll get it. Thank you, Mr. Braun. I called headquarters and sent a messenger to my apartment to look for one of those long, dusty blue folders with the legal links sheets inside them and ordered one, scorched it over to Braun without stopping to breathe more than once. Then I went back myself. The atmosphere had changed. Adderton was sitting by a big desk, clenching his fists and sweating. His whole posture telegraphed his controlled helplessness. Cheney was bent over a seismograph, echo sounding for the egg through the river bottom. If even that had a prayer of working, I knew he'd have to had the trains of Hudson and Manhattan stopped. Their rumbling, of course, through the tubes would have blanked out any possible echo ping from the egg. Wild goose chase? Joan asked, scanning my face. Not quite. I've got something if I just figure out what it is. Remember One-Shot Braun? Yeah, what's he got to do with it? Nothing, I said. But I want to bring him in. I don't think we'll lick this project before deadline without him. What good is a professional gambler on a job like this? He'll just get in the way. I looked toward the television screen, which now showed an amorphous black mass, jutting up from a foundation of even deeper black. Is that operation getting you anywhere? Nothing's getting us anywhere, Anderton ejected harshly. We don't even know if that's the egg. The whole area is littered with crates, Harris. You've got to get me out of that alert now. Clark, how is the time going? Cheney consulted his watch. Deadline in 29 minutes, he said. All right, let's use those minutes. I'm beginning to see this thing a little clearer. Joan, what have we got here as one-shot gamble, right? In effect, she said cautiously. Then it's my guess that we're never going to get the answer by diving for it. Not in any time, anyhow. Remember when the Navy lost that barge load of shells in the harbor back in 52? They scrambled for them for a year and never pulled up one. They finally had to warn the public that if it was found anything funny along the shore, it shouldn't bang an object or shake it either. We're better equipped than the Navy was then, but we're going to work against the deadline. If you admitted that earlier, Anderton said hoarsely, we'd have a million people out of the city by now. Maybe even a million. I haven't given up yet, Colonel. This point is, Joan, what we need is inspired guess. Get anything from that probe series, Clark. I thought not. On a one-shot gamble like this, the laws of chance are no good at all. For that matter, the so-called ESP experiments showed us long ago that even the way we construct random tables of full holes, that a man with a feeling for the essence of a gamble can make a monkey out of the chance almost at will. And if there's ever such a man, Braun is it. That's why I asked him to come down here. I wanted him to look at that lump on the screen and play a hunch. You're out of your mind, Anderton said. Decorous Knox spared me the trouble of having to deny or affirm or ignore the judgment. It was Braun. The messenger had been fast, and the gambler hadn't bothered to read what the college student had brought him 15 years ago. He came forward, held his hand out, while the others looked at him over frankly. He was impressive, all right. It would have been hard for a stranger to believe that he was aiming at respectability. To the eye, he was already there. He was tall, spare, and walked perfectly erect. Not with any spring despite his age. His clothing was far from that of a gambler, as you could have taken it by design. The black double-breasted suit with a thin vertical stripe, a gray silk tie, the pearl stick pin, just barely large enough to be visible at all, a black Homburg, all perfectly fitted, all worn with proper casualness. One might almost say a formal casualness. It was the only when he opened up his mouth that one-shot Braun was in the suit with him. I came over as soon as your runner got me, he said. What's the pitch, Andy? Mr. Braun, this is Joan Hadamar, Clark Cheney, Colonel Anderton. I'll be quick as we need speed now. A Polish ship has dropped something out in the harbor. We don't know what it is. It may be a hell bomb, or it might be just somebody's old laundry. Obviously, we've got to find out, and we want you to tell us. Braun's aerostatic eyebrows went up. Me? Hell, Andy, I don't know anything about things like that. I'm surprised at you. Not to say I had all the brains it needed. Ain't you got machines to tell you that answers like that? I pointed silently at Joan, who had gone back to work the moment the introductions were over. She was still on the mic to divers. She was saying, what does it look like? It's a lump of something, Dr. Hadamar. Can't even tell what the shape. It's buried too deeply in the mud. Going. Try a Geiger. We did. Nothing but background. Scintillation counter? Nothing, Dr. Hadamar. Could it be shielded? Let us do the guessing, Monig. All right. Maybe it's got a clockwork fuse that didn't break on impact. Or a gyroscopic fuse. Stick a stethoscope on it and see if you pick up any ticking or anything that sounds like a motor running. There was a lag. And I turned to Braun. As you can see, we're stymied. This is a long shot, Mr. Braun. One throw of the dice. One showdown hand. We've got to have an expert call it for us. Somebody with a record of hits on long shots. That's why I called you. It's no good, he said. He broke off the Homburg, took his handkerchief out of his breast pocket, wiped his headband. I can't do it. Why not? It ain't my kind of thing. Look, I've never run my life. I've never looked, never, look, I never in my life run odds on anything that made any difference. But this makes a difference. If I guess wrong, then we're all dead ducks. But why should you guess wrong? Your hunches have been working for 60 years now. Braun wiped his face. No, you don't get it. I wish you'd listen to me. Look, my wife and my kids are in the city. It ain't only my life, it's theirs too. That's what I care about. That's why it's no good. On things that matter to me, my hunches don't work. I was stunned, and so I could see were Joan and Cheney. I suppose I should have guessed it, but it never occurred to me. 10 minutes, Cheney said. I looked up at Braun. He was frightened, and again I was surprised without having any right to be. I tried to keep at least my voice calm. Please try anyhow, Mr. Braun, as a favor. It's already too late to do any other way. And if your guess is wrong, the outcome won't be any worse than if you didn't try at all. My kids, he whispered. I don't think he knew what he was speaking aloud. I waited. Then his eyes seemed to come back to present. All right, he said. I told you the truth, Andy. Remember that. So, is it a bomb or ain't it? That's what's up for grabs, right? I nodded. He closed his eyes. An unexpected stab of pure fright went down my back. Without the eyes, Braun's face was a death mask. The water sound and irregular ticking of a Geiger counter seemed to spring out of the audio speaker 4 times as loud as before. I could even hear the pen of the seismograph scribbling away until I looked at the instrument and saw that Clark had stopped it, probably long ago. Droplets of sweat had formed on Braun's forehead and his upper lip. The handkerchief remained crushed in his hand. Atherton said, Of all the fool. Hush, Joan said quietly. Slowly Braun opened his eyes. All right, he said. You guys wanted it this way? I say it's a bomb. He stared at us for a moment, and then, all at once, the Timbican bearing burst. Words poured out of it. Now you guys do something. Do your job like I did mine. Get my kids, wife and kids out of there. Empty the city. Do something. Do something. Atherton was already grabbing the phone. You're right, Mr. Braun. If it isn't already too late. Cheney shot his hand and caught Atherton's phone arm by the wrist. Wait a minute, he said. What do you mean, wait a minute? Haven't you already shot enough time? Cheney did not let go. Instead, he looked inquiringly at Joan and said, 1 minute, Joan. You might as well go ahead. She nodded and spoke into the mic. Monig, unscrew the cap. Unscrew the cap? The audio squawked. But Dr. Hatterman, if that sets off, it won't go off. That's the one thing you can be sure it won't do. What is this? Atherton demanded. Why, and what's this deadline stuff anyhow? The cap's off, Monig reported. We're getting plenty of radiation now. Just a minute. Yeah, Dr. Hatterman, it's a bomb all right. But it hasn't got a fuse. How could they have made a fool mistake like that? In other words, it's a dud, Joan said. That's right, it's a dud. Now at last, Braun wiped his face, which was quite gray. I told you the truth, he said grimly. My hunches don't work on stuff like this. But they do, I said. I'm sorry to put you through the ringer, and you too, Colonel, but we couldn't let the opportunity like this slip. It was too good a chance for us to test how our facilities would stand up against a real bomb drop. A real drop? Atherton said. Are you trying to say the CIA staged this? You ought to be shot, the whole pack of you. No, not exactly, I said. The enemy responsible for the drop, all right. We got the word last month that our man in Ganya, that they were going to do it, and that the bomb would be on board the Ludmilla. As I said, it was too good an opportunity to miss. We wanted to find out how long it would take us to figure out the nature of the bomb, which we did know in detail after it was dropped here. So we had our people in Gdania defuse the thing after it was put on board the ship, but otherwise leave it entirely alone. Actually, you see, your hunch was right on the bottom as far as it went. We didn't ask you whether or not that the object was a live bomb. We asked you whether it was a bomb or not. You said it was, and you were right. The expression on Braun's face was exactly like the one he had worn when he began searching for that decision, except that, since his eyes were open, he could see it was directed at me. If this was the old days, he said in a ice-cold voice, I might have made the colonel's idea come true. I don't go for tricks like this, Andy. It was more than a trick, Clark put in. You'll remember we had a deadline on the test, Mr. Braun. Obviously, in a real drop, we wouldn't have had all the time in the world to figure out what kind of thing had been dropped. If we still failed to establish that the deadline had run out, it would have allowed us the evacuation of the city with all the attendant risk. That was exactly what the enemy wanted us to do. So we failed the test, I said. At the minute short of the deadline, Joan had the divers unscrew the cap. In a real drop, that would have resulted in detonation. If the bomb was real, we never would risk it. That we did it in the test was a concession, a failure, an admission that our usual methods did not come through for us in time. And that means you were the only person who did come through, Mr. Braun. If a real bomb drop ever comes, we're going to have you here as an active part of our investigation. Your intuition for the one-shot gamble was the one thing that bailed us out this time. Next time, it may save 8 million lives. There was a long silence. All of us, Atherton included, watched Braun intently, but his impassive face failed to show any trace of his thoughts were running. When he did speak at last, what he said must have seemed insanely irrelevant to Atherton and maybe to Cheney too. And perhaps it meant nothing more to Joan than the final clinical note in a case history. It's funny, Braun said. I was thinking of running for Congress next year for my district. Maybe this is more important. It was, I believe, the sigh of a man at peace with himself. And that was a one-shot by James Blish. His writing, as you saw, is exceptional. He can create tension, he can create pathos, he can create some humor, and he does it and he binds it all together extremely well. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the short story. We're going to be doing more of these in the months ahead, in the days ahead. We've still got some great things coming up for the holidays. For those of you, and like myself, who don't actually follow through on holiday stuff, we've got a few surprises coming up. We've got not one but 2 movies during the holidays. On Black Friday, Thanksgiving night, don't forget we have a special movie. You'll see the advertisement coming up later this week. But we got something special, something short and something fun for a Thursday night. I'm glad you guys stopped in. I'm really glad you guys stopped in tonight to enjoy the short story. If you want, go check out some of James Blish's other works, including some of his novelizations of Star Trek back in the late 60s and 70s. He and his wife, J.A. Lawrence, did a phenomenal job. Don't forget, too, we have a new email. I want you guys to write, say hello, let me know what you guys are thinking. JoelK_OG at protonmail.com. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Appreciate you stopping in all the time. I really do. We're getting ready to close down the show for another Sunday night. Thank you very much for wandering in, sitting down and enjoying a short story by James Blish. We do on the show, like we do on our Thursday night show, we do a final quote for the night, kind of to wrap up the show. And tonight, like we did on Thursday, legendary author Leo Tolstoy, something rather powerful with what's going on in the world right now. Since corrupt people unite amongst themselves to constitute a force, then honest people must do the same. Since corrupt people unite amongst themselves to constitute a force, then honest people must do the same. Leo Tolstoy, the man who gave us one of the best stories ever written, one of the longest stories, War and Peace. I am Joel K. This is Accessibly Live, the book club reading room, every single Sunday night, live here on Twitch and YouTube. I appreciate everyone stopping in. We're going to get out of here. Have a great evening, all. Be well, be safe, be kind. The holiday season is coming in, and having been observing people, please be kind to the people behind counters and registers. It is a time of year when stress levels get high, and really mean, stupid idiots kind of break a lot of people's tension. And it's not a good thing. If you see someone having a bad day, smile and say thank you when you're getting your cafe latte, or you're getting a sandwich, or you're standing in line at a big box store. Say thank you. It doesn't take a lot, and the way the world is right now, a little bit of kindness goes a hell of a long way. We will see you all this coming Thursday for a dual cast of Accessibly Live, the Conversation Station, and the Book Club Reading Room. Hope you come and join me. And for those of you traveling here in the U.S. for holiday get-togethers, please drive safe. Be well, be safe, be kind. We will see you all next week, and see you this Thursday for a simulcast of fun. Take care, you guys.